Thank you very much. Next, we have the member for Oshawa.
Thank you, Speaker. It is always an honour to stand in this proud legislature, and today it is my honour on behalf of Ontario's New Democrats to pay tribute to Peter Adams. I am pleased to welcome Peter's family and friends today to the legislature. Peter is survived by his wife Jill and his 4 children, Joanne, Michelle, Annette and Will, and their spouses, as well as his 9 grandchildren and family in England and around the world. Today we welcome his daughter Michelle Adams and her spouse Kevin Robertson, along with Peter's grandchildren Aaron and Marie Robertson, joined by Eric Dykstra, and welcome to Peter's friends Kathy and Alan Brunger. When we pay tribute to former MPPs, it is a special chance to discover the legacy of someone who worked to shape the world we live in. Peter Adams started his adventure in 1936 in Ellesmere Port, a small village on the River Mersey in England. He grew up during World War II, attended the University of Sheffield, found his way to Montreal to complete his PhD in geography and glaciology at McGill, and began his lifelong passion for northern research on snow and ice, working in the Arctic with Fritz Muller on the Axel Heiberg expedition. He was the founding chair of the Trent University Geography Department in 1968, a department he chaired through 1977. Also, after more than 40 years connected to Trent, in 2010 he received an honorary degree. Apparently, according to his university colleagues, his glaciological work on Axel Heiberg Island in Nunavut and his body of published research is of incomparable value in understanding climate and climatic change in that polar region. We can only imagine that Peter Adams would be actively following the climate change discussions and decisions closely. We are grateful that his body of work is available to guide understanding as our climate changes. Speaker, it is hard to imagine the work and research that Peter Adams did. However, high Arctic adventure wasn't the only adventure Peter was destined for. Peter Adams first served as a school board trustee, then from 1987 to 1990 as an MPP in David Peterson's Liberal government, and later from 1993 to 2006 as a federal MP under Prime Ministers Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin, also serving as a member of the Privy Council of Canada. Peter Adams was a prolific writer. We have heard about some of his research and know he was well published, but he also wrote a yearly report written to his community and constituents accounting for all of his efforts and accomplishments while in office. He described his role as a member of Parliament as this, quote, "It's a sort of balancing act. My work in Ottawa and Peterborough are not really separate. They are 2 intricately linked sides of the same coin. They are completely related in my mind and in my schedule. I do national business in Peterborough and local riding business in Ottawa." He was actively engaged and always appreciated serving. He was always an environmentally conscientious leader, something we would all recognize. As an MPP, Peter helped bring the Blue Box program to Ontario. I found this legislature's February 1991 transcripts from the Ontario in Confederation Select Committee. Peter was presenting to the committee as a concerned citizen no longer elected, but his words continue to be relevant. Quote, "All parts of the global system are inextricably linked, and environmental problems do not recognize political boundaries. We have the awesome responsibility for a huge and sensitive part of the Earth's surface, land, rivers, lakes, and parts of 3 oceans, and responsibility for the air above that territory. We have a unique decentralized system of government which has the potential to act locally while also acting at as near a global scale as any nation can while thinking globally. Of course, these concepts which the environmental movement has adopted are simply bases for good government of any sort." Peter's service did not end when he retired from politics in 2006. He joined his wife Jill in her international volunteer work in Bangladesh, Uganda, Honduras, India, and Guatemala. But Peterborough was Peter's home. By all accounts, including his own, Peter Adams loved Peterborough and was always very active and connected. He was named Citizen of the Year in Peterborough in 1981. He was active with local events and organizations, and the list of those connections is long and filled with joy and gratitude. He volunteered to help establish Casa de Angeles, or Home of Angels, a home where women with developmental disabilities can live independently in Peterborough. He was a member of many associations, including the Royal Canadian Geographic Society and the Association of Canadian Universities of Northern Studies. He was made a member of the Order of Ontario in 2012. Oh, and Speaker, as we've heard, throughout Peter's life, Peter Adams was an avid runner, completing many marathons, including the Midnight Sun on Baffin Island and the Boston Marathon. Peter Adams didn't only leave behind a lifetime of service, research, and learning, he left a legacy. Peter's commitment to his community, province, country, and planet would have been something that his family grew up with. We all learn from our parents. Some things they teach us purposefully, but often we learn by example. And Peter Adams, as his children have shared, set an authentic and enthusiastic example for living life. Ontarians are grateful to his family for sharing him with them. Peter Adams passed on September 28, 2018, at 82 years old. 82 years that he filled to the brim with learning, service, and passion. It is a testament to Peter's commitment and convictions that he was not only a model for others to follow, he was a model that others did follow. He was inspired by the world around him. He was inspired by the whole world. He learned it, cared for it, shared it, and served it. He was inspired by others, and in turn, we have been inspired by him. Thank you.